Hello and welcome everyone to EO Member Stories. My name is Faizan Sayed. I am the Member Experience Director for the Mepa region, and today I have someone interesting from the Tanzania chapter. She's been a member for 6 years. She is the Global Learning Chair, and she is someone who has had the most fulfilling EO experience in the time she's been here. Miranda Naiman. How are you, Miranda?
I'm good, Faizan. How are you doing? You really upsold EO on that one. But yes, filling, I can confirm in
well,
different areas.
Well, I don't want to give away the punchline, but for someone who found a life partner within an organization, they've really gotten tremendous value out of it. So I'd love to hear more about that. Tell us about your business and how EO has sort of played a role in this journey of yours.
So my business is called Empower. It's a human capital consulting firm. So we work across advisory, talent, and insight, providing these services to clients across the African continent. And then we have a very strong focus on social innovation, and we work in the space of decent work and the future of work. So running programs in universities and schools nationwide to make sure young people are more employable and more entrepreneurial. So I spend a lot of time on that kind of nonprofit side of the business as well. I joined EO, received an email in my inbox from a member at that time, Stephen Holmes. Would you like something that is going to change your life and take your business to the next level? And he
Wow,
persistently
it's
kept
quite the
going.
tagline.
It did. I mean, he was right. I wouldn't have seen it initially, but I remember attending an event about exit strategy.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I'd actually asked myself, what is my plan? How do I see myself building the business? So I think EO has been instrumental in just professionalizing my business, scaling it, and also helping us go through a transition of I was a sole founder into now a family business where my siblings are part of the business as well. So it's great to have partners now.
Interesting. And so
Yeah.
you then joined EO about 6 years ago, and right off the bat, you jumped on this path of leadership. Tell me more about that. Most people don't really, they take a little bit of time, a year or two before they figure things out. You were out on your first international event in what, 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months at EO Grow in Cape Town. I absolutely loved it. I think it's part of my personality. When I say yes to something, I say yes all the way, go big or
Hmm.
go home. But I found the energy infectious. I loved that I'd kind of found my people, others who understood what I was going through and people that I could learn from as peers. So I was drinking the EO Kool-Aid, as they call it, and any opportunity to travel or to learn and grow, I was on it. Because the chapter was quite small when I joined, they immediately asked if I would be willing to take on learning because it's connected to my business. It was something that I was naturally comfortable with. And then it grew from there. And I would say a pivotal point was probably the first GLC, which was Frankfurt
Hmm.
2017. And I remember just realizing the power of the global network that, yes, we have our little chapter of people in Tanzania and Dar es Salaam specifically, but there are experts and peers across the world, and just tapping
Hmm.
in, harnessing that energy was transformative, I think. So from that moment, I came back and I knew I want to continue to grow year on year and give to the organization as well.
And not just give, but you've also been one of the beneficiaries of the organization. Tell us a bit about sort of the big changes in your life that you were telling me about, that
Yeah.
you've experienced because of EO.
Yes, on the three spheres, if I think about personal, business, and family, I'll start with family.
Right.
I was fortunate enough to meet my life partner through EO.
Wow.
It was not something that I joined EO for, but we found we had shared values, both running businesses, both having gone through very similar backgrounds and divorces, and then reconnecting. So I can say that EO has been instrumental in helping me find that life partner. So my husband
Nice.
now, we are married, and we share our love for EO together and travel to events together. So that's awesome to have that support. He's
And you're
heavy.
both in EO together in different
We
forms.
are. We're both in different forums. We're both legit members, both running businesses. I have a heavy
Amazing.
focus on learning, and for him on GSEA. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay.
On a business side, as I mentioned before, if I compare the business I had 6 years ago to what I'm running now, it's a totally different beast from a governance perspective, from a revenue perspective, from an impact perspective, and our client base and our expansion plans. I think EO has helped me to formalize how the business is run, helped me to navigate some tricky challenges, difficult clients, embracing a family business setup, navigating shareholder agreements and that kind of thing. And just being a more global oriented company as opposed to a Tanzanian company. So I owe that to EO, I think. And then on an individual level, path of leadership. I mean, when you serve in the organization, as you rightly said, you benefit immensely. How can you
Hmm.
become a better leader in your business, a better wife, a better mother, a better boss at Empower at work? It's helped me to hone in on those skills and just really, improve as a person overall. I think I'm a better person because of EO, genuinely.
And you've been on the path of leadership, which is, slightly non-traditional. You went on the expert side, and then you
Yeah,
went on to become the global learning chair for the now what is the functional areas of EO. Tell
yes.
us a little bit about that because we don't see a lot of people either. Most people either will get involved at the chapter level, maybe the board, the presidency, jump onto the regional level. But from our region, we don't see a lot of people going into the global committees and then leading those committees. So, walk me through how that journey is different and what you've picked up along the way.
Great question. My experience with Path of Leadership, I was learning chair for 2 years, but the second year of being learning chair, I was also the learning expert at the same time. So that gave me a taste into what was happening in the regional council, and was kind of had a shoe in my chapter board, but also on the regional council at the same time. I had to then make a choice. I was president first, um, probably one of the most important roles for just really understanding how EO works from an operational point of view. When it came to deciding whether to go to regional council or onto a global committee, the decision was based on what kind of work I wanted to do. A lot of the work on the regional committee is more operational, looking at thriving chapters, making sure we have
Hmm.
member growth. Whereas the committees, functional committees, you have an opportunity to drive strategic growth, new ideas, new products, and so that excited me. So I had to make the decision. I interviewed for both. I was offered both positions, and in the end, I decided to follow the leadership committee direction. I'll be honest and say that when I first joined, I felt like a fish out of water.
Hmm.
I miss Mepa, I miss my people. There aren't
Hmm.
enough of us represented in those rooms.
True.
So I feel that I am, carrying that. Sometimes we're in those rooms and it's just Kuram and I.
Hmm.
And I would love to see more people from our region stepping up, coming into global leadership. There's nothing to stop us. It is a big commitment, the same way it is on the regional council, but there's great benefit in learning how to improve strategic processes to influence what products come out, like Powerhouse that is running, or the
It's a
Global
great
Speaker.
product.
These are all products that have come from the learning committee. You get to test, pilot things, get response, and then roll them out. My specific project on the learning committee was running GLC for the last 2 years. So on the committees, you're given a project that you run for a year. So I
Hmm.
did GLC DC and the GLC X, which was online
Hmm.
during the pandemic year.
Amazing. And so let's dig on this a little bit deeper. The global committees, I mean, and especially this is for our region, we get a lot of these questions. What is the time commitment? What does the travel look like, for someone coming out of the region? Because I'm assuming most of the stuff is happening in the US.
Not necessarily. I'm heading to India on Friday for an organizational design meeting for tier one leaders. It's
Hmm.
the locations are completely global, so they cover all regions. And I think from a governance perspective, the global board very much looks at how they can balance out where events take place. So that's number one. From a structure and planning and time commitment, things are changing. I have to be very honest. At the moment, EO is going through transformation, and what used to be is not what is anymore. But we're building the plane as we fly it. So this year is a
Hmm.
bit of a rookie year in the sense that we're running as we were, but committees don't exist, but the individuals do. So they're now a task force. And at the same time, we're mapping out what path of leadership will look like next year. There's going to be some key changes, and this is what we'll be discussing in India. Um, Time commitment, though, generally, you would be involved in a project. So, like, I'll use my example. Having been involved in GLC, I would meet monthly for the learning committee, and then we would have weekly meetings for the GLC committee. And I would be overseeing, looking at it through a learning lens, that there would be comms people in that committee who are doing marketing of GLC. There would be chapter officer training, leadership experts. So you're working with a multidisciplinary group of people, which yet again, you get more exposure to other people within EO. So it is time intensive, but it's worth the commitment, is what I could say. I'm serving this year on the organizational design committee, which is a small group that's trying to figure out how should EO look. It's difficult. It affects functional leaders, and it's going to change path of leadership. But please look out for news on that soon once the board has ratified those decisions.
That sounds good, and it's very interesting. You have really taken on and jumped into this, and it sounds like it's a big, heavy commitment, weekly and then monthly. How does this affect the time you contribute to your business?
It does put a little dent in the business, but where I'm at with the business, as I mentioned previously, it might have been offline. I've got partners. I've got two partners, so we have three people, including myself, that are all operating at a similar strategic level. The business has grown to a point where we have really tried to capacitate our midline managers that they're able to run projects end to end with clients. So yes, I'm involved in strategic decisions, but I'm not necessarily involved in the day-to-day operations. So it's given me the freedom to serve EO. I serve other organizations as well on their boards, and basically have that diversity in my life, that yes, I'm running a business, I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm also serving other organizations, which I believe is very tied to my personal values of service before self.
Got it. And then in the global committees, do you see the ratio of members who are involved? Is it skewed towards one region or a couple of regions more than the others?
Most definitely. If I can be very honest, there's a gap. There's a gender gap. Firstly, there is a regional gap. I think I mentioned before, we are underrepresented from our region, Mepa, and particularly within that region from sub-Saharan Africa, almost unrepresented. I think I might be the only one. But I think it comes from a drive and wanting to step up. So I hold a mirror, and I say we have to hold ourselves to high standards and say, what do we want to get from EO? And I think
Right.
the biggest rewards have come from stepping up to tier one leadership and serving at that level. So yeah, please, I'm trying to encourage people to step up. For me, it was 2017. I was at GLC. I watched the global chair presenting on the stage, felt the energy, and I had visioned and I said, I want to be part of this. I want to serve in this capacity at this level. I don't have the skills now, but I'm ready to learn. I'm a sponge. Give me responsibility, give me opportunity, and I want to represent my region. So MEPA first. Yeah, I would love to see more of us there.
So I think the best next step is anyone who's been I mean, I got motivated and I'm already serving on the regional council. Is I think the applications for path of leadership open up in the next couple of months. I believe the submission deadline is around December, Jan. They open up in November, if I recall correctly. And I think
Correct.
people from MEPA should step up, pick something that they're interested in, and
Yeah.
start somewhere. Even if you start off as an expert and you work your way up, or whether you move into regional council, because you can go into regional council and then spend some time there, and then go into these functional areas and spend some time there and get a flavor for EO and represent and be a voice for our region, which, like
Yeah.
Miranda said, is underrepresented.
Maybe, Faison, I can give an example of someone that I call my EO mentor from MIPA as well. So Jamie Pujara, who's on the global board now from EO Kenya. He had a similar journey. He was learning chair. Then he became the president after 2 years of learning. Then he became member experience director. He became the regional chair. Then he shifted across and he became a member of the learning committee. So I served with him there. And then he joined the global board. The reason he did that, he said he wanted both perspectives. The way regional councils are run is very different to how committees or task forces are run. And he wanted both experiences before he raised his hand to serve at board level. So
Hmm.
there's not just one path of leadership. It's go where your interest is and where you feel you have sufficient time to serve.
Interesting. And that's a very good path that you've raised. I think that's a very natural progression where you learn along the way as you proceed. And in
Yeah.
your case, as you proceed, where do we see you end up in the next 5 years in your EO journey? Do you have a destination in mind?
Do I have a destination in mind? I'm not sure yet because of the nature of all the changes currently. So we don't even have confirmation on what the tier one leadership roles will be yet. So at that point, I think I would be able to make a decision on what I would want to apply for next. Um, if I were to serve on the global board, I have had some people ask me and say, why haven't you applied? I don't feel like I'm ready, not from a capacity point of view, but the time investment on the global board is immense. I think you're pretty much working for EO. My business is
Hmm.
not there yet, so I'm not ready. But if God wills, I would love to be able to serve at that level to influence policy and also improve representation at the highest level of the organization. But I also like the direction you've taken and being a facilitator. Perhaps that's something that I would want to do going forward and helping chapters to thrive.
That's true. And facilitation gives you that exposure at the chapter level. It gives you exposure into the boards. You get to travel, you get to meet some new people. And
Yeah,
I think the time commitment is a little bit more compressed because you get to go in, hit that
yeah,
1 or 2 days of the facilitation, a follow up before, and maybe a pre
yeah.
call. Pre call before and a follow up after. So it works out. And it's great. It's a great experience.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So that could be a direction, but I don't know. Watch the space. I'm not sure.
And and you talked about representation. That takes me to my last question with you. EO has, I think the global statistic for women members is early to mid, let's say teens. I'd say.
Hmm.
How can we, so first of all, as a woman member, what value did you get, and how can we increase that ratio and attract more women entrepreneurs?
I'm part of the Women of EO group. I think it's called My EO Women now. Incredibly powerful, supportive network of women across the world. We share everything in there from, personal issues, health issues, and business issues. So that is a huge support system that EO offers. I believe that we need to really onboard our female members well. They need to feel accepted. They need to feel part of the organization from the onset. Otherwise, you'll find that a woman will join and leave after a year. We need to see women in leadership roles. One of the proudest statistics I and the board managed to achieve when I was president in Tanzania was we got to 50-50 female to
Wow.
male in the chapter. And at board level, we were 60-40 women. So when women see other women leading, it inspires them and makes them see that we also belong here. So leading by example, I think, is really important. If I reach out to a fellow entrepreneur as a prospect, I'm more likely to bring her in, perhaps because she goes, if Miranda's there, I can be there too. I belong. And for men, it's to make us feel that we also belong. We're all EO members first.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we all have similar challenges. It's to embrace women in your forums, and yeah, to also encourage other women to participate and push them up into leadership positions as well, based on merit, not any favors. We don't want
Mm-hmm.
favors. We want to get there by merit. But that EO should be a place that everyone feels welcome, irrespective of their gender, their race, their religion. It is a global organization, and that's really key.
Amazing. Miranda, this was a great chat. I got to learn a lot. And I'm hoping that other members who watched this and even people who aren't members yet are inspired to join EO, and especially the path of leadership, because I think that is, at least for me, it's been very valuable. And the value that you get, you're able to apply in the 3 areas of your life.
Yeah.
And that's the power of EO, I think. So thank you for the time, Miranda. Thank you so much, and best of
Ooh,
luck. We're looking forward to some really cool and exciting new products from the
no
learning
pressure.
committee or non-committee.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what comes up. All new ideas are on hold because of this
Yeah.
change. So you won't see anything new this fiscal year, but you will going forward. So, yeah. And if there's anyone that watches this that wants to reach out personally just to hear my experience of POL or guidance, if there's anything I can share with you, I'm more than happy to do so. So,
And that's where
yeah,
the members directory comes in handy. All you have to do is log in and search the person's name, and boom, all their data
everything.
is right there.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
All right.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Miranda. Thank you for the time and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. See you for the next EO member stories for the MIPA region. Bye bye.